Kind of, yeah. The evidence reviewed in the report seemed to lean towards having enough carbs available, especially for that crucial high-intensity work.
Gotcha. Any other downsides to going very low carb if you're active?
Well, the report notes that exercising with low carb availability can increase stress hormones. That might potentially impair your immune system.
Oh, getting sick more often. That definitely disrupts training.
Exactly. And for weight loss, which is why many people try it, the evidence isn't clear that it's actually better than just a calorie-matched lower-fat diet. Plus, and this is important, it can make exercise feel harder. The perceived effort goes up. And if exercise feels tougher, are you going to stick with it? Maybe not.
That's a really crucial point for long-term habits. Okay, let's talk hydration. We know it's important, but maybe we underestimate how important.
Absolutely. The report really hammers home that avoiding significant fluid deficits is fundamental for maintaining your exercise capacity. Even being just a little dehydrated can hurt performance.
But the point that really jumped out at me was that being well hydrated can make exercise feel easier. That seems massive for adherence.
It is. It's a huge win. If your workout feels less like a massive struggle, you're far more likely to actually do it, maybe enjoy it, maybe push a bit harder. That link between hydration and perceived exertion is key.
So it's not just about, like, avoiding cramps or heat stroke?
Those are important at the extremes, yes. But the day-to-day benefit is also about managing how hard the effort feels to your brain and body. And the report points out that actually drinking during exercise is usually only critical if you're going longer than, say, 40 to 60 minutes.
Oh, okay. So for shorter workouts, it's more about starting hydrated.
Exactly. What you drink beforehand matters more. And those generic recommendations like drink X amount every 15 minutes.
Yeah, not ideal.
Probably not. Sweat rates, electrolyte loss, it varies hugely between people. Listening to your thirst, knowing your own needs, maybe weighing yourself before and after long sessions in the heat, that personalized approach is usually better.
Makes sense. It also mentions some sports don't give you much chance to drink, like halftime.
Right. Team sports can be tricky. Athletes in those situations really need to maximize those breaks. Cold drinks can also help a bit with cooling in warm weather, which is a nice bonus.
Anything else on hydration? Oh, glycerol.
Yeah. The report notes that glycerol-containing drinks, which used to be used to help hyperhydrate or retain fluid, are now banned by WADA. So that's off the table for competitive athletes.
And what about getting fluids back in after you finish?
For most workouts, just eating and drinking normally afterwards will do the trick. If you've had a really long, sweaty session or need to recover quickly for another workout soon, then yeah, focusing on extra fluids, maybe adding a pinch of salt to a drink or having salty snacks can speed things up. Fruits and juices are good too for potassium and other electrolytes.
Okay, good practical tips. Now, the big one. Supplements. It's a minefield out there, isn't it?
It absolutely is. A huge industry with a lot of promises.
So what's the sensible take from this report?
It starts with a really crucial foundation. If you eat a varied, balanced diet that meets your energy needs for training, you're probably getting most, if not all, the micronutrients you need.
So food first. Always.
Food first. Supplements aren't usually necessary. They might be considered if someone's restricting calories heavily or has genuinely poor eating habits or specific diagnosed deficiencies, but they're not a shortcut or a replacement for good food.
Are there any common exceptions where supplements are often needed?
The report highlights a few usual suspects. Iron, especially for female athletes, can be a concern. Calcium, too. And vitamin D is a big one, with lots of evidence emerging that many people, particularly athletes training indoors or in winter, might be low.
So get tested for vitamin D.
That's the strong recommendation. Get your levels checked by a doctor before just popping pills. Don't guess.
Right. What about all those other pills and powders promising crazy results, explosive power, endless endurance?
Yeah, the report urges a lot of caution. Be skeptical of hype. For many supplements, the scientific evidence just isn't there. Either it doesn't work, or the studies are weak, or we don't know about long-term safety.
But are there any that actually have decent evidence behind them?
Yes, a few have shown benefits in specific contexts. Caffeine is a well-established one.
Coffee.
Yeah. Moderate doses, like 2 to 4 milligrams per kilo body weight, seem to help performance in various tasks, probably axing on the brain.
Okay, what else?
Creatine has strong backing, especially for strength, power, and repeated sprints. Usually needs a loading phase and maintenance.
Heard of that one. Anything else?
Bicarbonate or beta-alanine might help buffer acid during short, intense bursts of exercise. And dietary nitrate, think beetroot juice, shows promise for making exercise a bit more efficient, reducing oxygen cost.
Beetroot juice. Okay, that's interesting. But there's a dark side to supplements mentioned too, right? Contamination.
Yes, and this is really important. It's a serious concern. Supplements can be contaminated with things like stimulants or even anabolic steroids.
Seriously? Like accidentally?
Sometimes unintentionally during manufacturing, sometimes deliberately added and not listed on the label. The amounts might be small, but potentially enough to cause a positive doping test.
Wow, that could ruin an athlete's career.
Absolutely. And sometimes the contaminants are present in high enough doses to pose actual health risks. The report mentions the hydroxycut withdrawal due to liver issues as a stark warning.
So the take-home is, be extremely careful.
Extremely careful. Choose reputable brands, look for third-party testing certifications if possible, and remember, food first.
Okay, last big topic, the brain. It's not just muscles that get tired, right?
Exactly. The report delves into this idea of central fatigue. Basically, the brain itself can play a role in limiting performance, sometimes telling you to stop even before your muscles are completely spent.
So my brain can be the limiting factor, not just my legs.
It seems so. It's not a new idea, actually. Scientists over a century ago suggested fatigue might originate centrally. The report mentions the classic central fatigue hypothesis, initially focusing on serotonin.
Serotonin making you feel tired or perceive more effort.
That was the thinking. More recently, dopamine's role is also being investigated. Now, while drugs affecting these brain chemicals can alter performance, the report notes that purely nutritional strategies have generally had pretty limited success in reliably tweaking brain function to boost exercise.
Generally limited, but were there any exceptions?
A couple of interesting possibilities were mentioned. Branched-chain amino acids, BCAAs, showed some potential for prolonging endurance, specifically when exercising in the heat.
Which fits with the serotonin idea.
It does, yeah. And taking tyrosine, which is a building block for dopamine, before exercise was also suggested as possibly helping endurance in warm conditions.
So these nutritional effects on the brain seem more relevant under stress, like heat or really long exercise?
That seems to be the pattern, yes.
Yeah.
When central fatigue is likely playing a bigger role, these nutritional tweaks might have an effect. It's complex, though.
Still, it's amazing to think that food could influence not just muscles, but the brain's control over performance and effort perception.
It really underscores how interconnected everything is. Nutrition, muscles, brain, environment.
Yeah.
It all plays a part. The report briefly nods toward the bigger picture too, exercise and brain health, potential links to neurological conditions, but that's definitely an area needing more research.
Wow. Okay, this has been incredibly insightful, so much to think about beyond just carbs and protein amounts. As we wrap up, what are maybe 2 or 3 key takeaways for someone listening?
I think 3 things really stand out from this discussion. First, that timing of protein, especially around workouts, seems really important for muscle adaptation. Even small amounts, like 20 grams, can make a difference. More isn't always better.
Right, strategic protein, not just massive amount.
Exactly. Second, low-carb, high-fat diets.
Yeah.
While they do make you burn more fat, they don't necessarily boost endurance performance, especially for high-intensity stuff, and might make workouts feel harder. So for most active people, getting enough carbs is probably still key.
Okay, understand the trade-offs there. And the third?
Hydration. Don't underestimate it. It's not just about avoiding problems. Staying hydrated can literally make exercise feel easier. And that's huge for consistency and enjoyment.
Absolutely. Less perceived effort means you're more likely to stick with it. Great takeaways. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. Considering how much we now understand about this intricate link between what you eat and how your body performs and adapts, what's one small evidence-based change you could maybe experiment with in your own routine? Something that might unlock a bit more progress or even just more enjoyment from your activity?
That's a great question to ponder. Lots of potential small tweaks based on what we've discussed.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for diving into this with us today.